I've probably said it to you maybe 10 or 15 times that I was still buying store-bought tortillas and that I just wasn't ready yet to dive into homemade tortillas. But you guys, they're so easy. I don't know why it's taken me this long. I don't know why I was so intimidated. So boom, we're going to do it today. We're going to mill. This is some fresh milled wheat, and this is soft white wheat berries that I'm using. So you could use like an all-purpose flour if you wanted to. So we've got our fresh milled wheat, and then we're going to use some corn masa. This is organic corn masa that I got from Azure Standard. You need corn masa because of the nixtamalization process has allowed the nutrients in the corn to be utilized as a food source, and it also helps in making the tortillas so that they can stick together properly and all of that good stuff. So this is the recipe that I am using. 1 cup masa harina, 1 cup all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons lard, half a teaspoon salt, but I actually went up to almost a full teaspoon salt. You want to go a half teaspoon, didn't seem like enough to me. And then 3/4 cup warm water. My water might have been a touch warmer than warm. It was pretty warm. And so it wasn't boiling hot though, but it was pretty warm. So we're just going to hand mix this, and it's really nice to mix by hand because it doesn't really stick to your hand that bad once you get the right consistency. And so we just give it a nice little hand mix. And once we get it mixed up and it's kind of forms a ball of dough, we want to cover this with a damp cloth and let it sit for about 30 minutes so that the corn and the fresh milled flour and everything can absorb the moisture in there. That's one thing about using fresh milled products and corn products is you do need to allow them to absorb because they are fresh milled. They're going to be a little bit chunkier than your average all-purpose flour and that sort of thing. So it does need some time to absorb the moisture in the recipe. So once I have this in a cohesive mass, I'm just kind of kneading it a few times. I'm not sure if this is necessary. I should probably watch another professional do it on YouTube. But I'm just kneading it a few times just to get a little bit of gluten formed. You don't want a lot of gluten formation in this, and this isn't a very high gluten wheat berry. But I just kind of want this to be a cohesive dough. So I'm just folding it over a few times and pressing it. I'm just going to shape it and into a disc. We're going to come back to it after it's rested. And we're going to take about a pinch, about a ball, like a ping pong ball sized amount. And we're going to roll it into our hand. It's less than a golf ball, but I would say it's about a ping pong ball size. And what I have here is a Ziploc bag. I have cut the sides of the Ziploc bag and I have removed the Ziploc zipper because it was impeding my rolling pin from rolling these out. Then what I'm doing is putting my ping pong ball sized amount of dough in between the sheet of Ziploc and folding it over. Then I am pressing it down on my countertop with a pie plate, and this forms an absolutely perfect, beautiful circle pressed between the Ziploc with my tortilla dough. Then we are going to further roll it out and flatten it a little bit more with my rolling pin that you see I'm using here. What I'm doing is, my trick is to remove the film, the Ziploc bag film from one side and to flip it over in my hand and then remove it from the other side. But I kind of like loosen it on both sides in the film and then flip it out onto my hand, if that makes sense. Then I read after the fact, you want to do 40 seconds on each side. I believe I was overcooking them on the sides. So 40 seconds on each side, and then you bring them to a brown. And you just want to use a little bit of fat or a little bit of lard in your pan when you're cooking those. And then I put them between a damp towel on the countertop just to rest because I'm going to be using those in a chicken enchilada recipe. If you remember from my last video, I shredded up a bunch of chicken and I put it in the freezer in some Ziploc bags. And now we're going to use that pre-shredded chicken to make a simple enchilada meal. Now this is half homemade, half store-bought enchiladas. We are using up some frozen onions that I had already chopped up. This is why this makes it so easy. So when I food prep And when I have an abundance of food, or I have extra ingredients that I need to freeze or preserve in a way that I can use them down the road because I can't use them immediately. I do this with peppers. I do this with onions. I'll go ahead and chop them up for recipes and put them in a Ziploc bag. And then that way I have a quick and easy, boom, I just throw it in the pan and saute it up. So we're going to throw in these tricolored peppers with these onions, and then we're going to toss on top that frozen shredded chicken. And I'm just going to let this cook on the stovetop for a little while. You definitely want to make sure that you are seasoning with your Redmond's real salt. I used a taco seasoning that I made with you all in my last video for the chicken. So it's already been seasoned with the taco seasoning. And then I'm going to use a can of chili sauce or enchilada sauce that you see right there beside my cheese. I'm also grating up cheese. This is a dinner for the kids, but I am going to taste it. So just forewarning you guys, yes, it has dairy in it, but I'm going to peel the cheese off, and I'm going to give these enchiladas a taste on this night because I really want to know what they taste like with these homemade tortillas. This is a big block of raw cheese that I get from Azure Standard. You all, they have the best bulk food, best deals on bulk food that I have found, at least where I can get in my local area, because we're kind of remote. We don't have big stores like a lot of you might have. We don't have those Costco's and things like that. So I use Azure Standard for all of my bulk grains and dry goods, from things from dry milk to whole wheat berries and everything in between. You can get your oats there, your cheeses there, all the good stuff. If you want it raw, if you want it organic, if you want it non-GMO, if you want it pesticide free, and you want to buy it in bulk to save your family money and feed them the best that you can, check out Azure Standard. I always link their website down in my video's description for you all. I absolutely love shopping there. They deliver to a drop location in my town once a month, and I buy so many of my groceries from there, and I share all my hauls with you all. So if you're curious and want to know more about that, check out my grocery hauls playlist, and that's where you'll find all of my Azure Standard hauls, and some of those will be in my pantry playlist as well. So we're just taking these corn flour tortillas and we are folding them in half because they are a little bit more firm than I would like, but hey, a little bit of a learning curve. I'm going to get better at these, and they are still tasty and delicious. So I share with you all my flops, my fails, my successes, and all of the things on this channel to hopefully inspire you to keep trying, to keep making things from scratch at home, even if they don't taste like what you buy processed from the store, even if they don't look like your neighbor's tortillas. You know, just keep trying. And I always say that we all put a different kind of love into our cooking. So my cooking, my food is going to taste different than yours, and it's going to taste different than the lady down the street. So keep that in mind. I've never been able to duplicate another person's recipe and make it taste just like they did. Even when they say, oh, it's real simple, you just do XYZ, and I do XYZ and it never comes out like theirs. Well, I'm putting a different touch on that dish. I'm making it my own kind of way with my own, the way I stir is different than the way you stir. And that affects the flavor and the texture of our food. And, you know, so many variables go into how each individual cooks. That's what makes us unique and makes our food delicious and ours. And, you know, that's what makes cooking a part of us. When we cook for people, we're sharing a part of our souls with them. So this is going to go in the oven and bake for about 20 to 30 minutes at 350 degrees. I did put a foil on top about 10 minutes into it because I didn't want the cheese to brown too much. And then I took the foil off for about the last 5 minutes.